The Soul of Persia. A timeless journey into Persian music. Produced by Behnam Khodarahmi. Episode 3. The book that saved everything. Right. So last time, we ended with a problem. After 1,000 years of Persian music, all those musicians, all those theorists, all that beauty, something was missing. The tradition was alive, but it was scattered. There were great players, there were great singers, but every one of them knew slightly different melodies, carried slightly different pieces in their memory. There was no shared book, no agreed-upon heritage. Nothing you could hand to a young student and say, "Start here. Learn this. This is the foundation." And without that, a tradition is fragile. Musicians die. Memories fade. Pieces get forgotten. A whole art form can slip away, slowly, without anyone quite noticing. In the 19th century, in Iran, something happened that stopped that from happening. This is one of the most important stories in Persian music. And honestly, hardly anyone outside Iran knows it. So let me tell it properly. The setting is the Qajar period. The Qajars were the dynasty that ruled Iran from the late 1700s until the early 1900s. So we're talking about the time of Queen Victoria, roughly. The world of horse-drawn carriages and oil lamps. Iran in this period is going through a lot. Political trouble, foreign pressure, the slow arrival of the modern world. It's a complicated time. But for our story, what matters is this. In the middle of all that change, in the city of Tehran, there was a family of musicians. The Farahani family. The father was a man called Akbar Farahani. He played the tar, the stringed instrument we mentioned in the first episode. He was, by all accounts, an extraordinary musician. He served at the Qajar court, and he had two sons who would, between them, change everything. Their names were Mirza Abdollah and Akbar Hossein-Qoli. Now, before I go on, Mirza Abdollah. Don't worry about getting it perfect. But that name, remember it. Because if Persian classical music has a single human hero, a single person without whom things would have looked very different, it's probably him. Ali Akbar, the father, died when his sons were young. The boys were brought up by their uncle, who was also a musician, and the two of them grew into masters. Mirza Abdollah on the tar and sitar, Akbar Hossein-Qoli also on the tar. Both of them, in time, became the most respected musicians of their era. But here's where it gets interesting, because they didn't just play, they taught. And they didn't just teach, they organized. What they did, and we think this was largely Mirza Abdollah's work, though his brother was part of it too, was take all the melodies they'd inherited, all the little tunes, the phrases, the patterns that had been passed down from their father, from their uncle, from generations of musicians before them, hundreds of them, and they arranged them in order, by family, by feeling, by musical character. And they gave this collection a name, the Radif. Radif, it just means row or sequence, a line of things in order. That's all. But what a row. So what actually is the Radif? Let me try to describe it simply. Imagine you wanted to teach someone everything important about a tradition of cooking. You couldn't just say, "Here are 10,000 recipes, good luck." You'd want to choose. You'd say, These are the essential dishes. Learn these, and you'll understand the whole tradition. Once you know these, you can cook anything in this style. You can even invent your own dishes, because you'll have the vocabulary. The Radif is something like that, but for music. It's a collection of short melodic pieces. We call them gushers. A gusher is a little melody, sometimes just a few seconds long, sometimes a minute or two. Each one has its own name, its own character, its own feeling. Some are sad, some are bright, some are calm, some are stormy. And these gushers are arranged into bigger groups. We'll talk about those groups properly next time. They're called dastgahs. For now, just know that the Radif is hundreds of these little melodies, organized into a kind of map. If you learn the Radif, you've learned the language. After that, you can speak it however you like. You can play the gushers exactly as you learned them. You can improvise around them. You can write new pieces using their phrases. You can have a conversation with another musician, both of you speaking this shared language. And anyone listening who also knows the language will understand. That's what Mirza Abdollah gave to Persian music. A shared language, a map, a foundation. Now, here's something lovely. The Radif was never originally written down. Not really. Mirza Abdollah taught it the old way, face to face. Student in front of teacher. The teacher plays a phrase. The student plays it back. Again, and again, and again, until it lives in the student's body, not just their head. This is how it had always been done in Persian music. And in many ways, it's still how it's done. Mirza Abdollah taught his students. They taught their students. Those students taught the next generation. And so on, down to today. Every serious player of Persian classical music alive right now learned the Radif from a teacher, who learned it from a teacher, who learned it from a teacher. And if you follow that chain back far enough, you arrive at Mirza Abdollah, sitting in a room in Tehran 150 years ago, passing the melodies on. That's an unbroken line, a real one, living people who can name their teachers, going all the way back. It's actually quite moving when you think about it. Later, and this is important, the Radif was written down. In the 20th century, musicians started using musical notation to record it. There are now several written versions. The most famous is based on the playing of Mirza Abdollah himself, preserved by his students and put into notation after his death. There are also written versions from other masters of his generation, each one a little different. Because that's another thing about the Radif. It's not one single fixed book. It's a tradition that has different schools, different versions, different flavors. But all of them go back to that moment in the 19th century, to that family, to those brothers, to the decision they made, that this music was worth preserving, that it deserved a shape, a home, a future. So when you listen to Persian classical music today, any of it, anywhere in the world, you're listening to something that has the Radif in its bones. The musician might be playing a piece that's 100 years old, or one they composed last week. Doesn't matter. The language they're speaking, the musical vocabulary they're using, comes from that collection, from that work, from that moment of preservation. Without it, things would be different. We'd have fragments, beautiful fragments maybe, but not a whole tradition you can still walk into, still learn, still live inside. That's why I called this episode The Book That Saved Everything. Even though, in a way, it wasn't a book at all. It was a memory, a shared memory, held in hundreds of musicians' hands, and voices, and minds, passed on, generation after generation, in small rooms, with patience, over tea. For our listening today, I'd like you to hear a single, very short piece, played simply, without much accompaniment, probably on the santur. Lovely instrument. As you listen, remember that this little melody, this tiny piece of music, maybe a minute long, has been passed from teacher to student, hand to hand, for over 150 years at least, possibly much longer. Someone played it in a room in Tehran in 1880. Someone else played it in 1920. Someone else in 1970. And now, someone is playing it for you. Honestly, that was amazing. But I think we'll leave it here for today. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.